There's a very interesting phenomena. So I did a talk at TEDx Queens, and I think the interesting thing about this talk, is that it's over 10 million views, for a TEDx talk. And people often think it's a TED talk. It's not. It's an obscure TEDx talk. But I often find myself explaining why there's so much interest in this talk. It is entertaining, but there's a lot of entertaining things on YouTube that doesn't explain the numbers. The explanation is that I believe, and I have to explain, I didn't come up with this idea, but I was the first person to sort of publicly explain a working model for hypnosis that actually explains it almost from the top to bottom. And other people have had this idea, but I laid it out and then demonstrated it on real people to show that it's true. And I think that's why there's so much interest in that. And I should explain why I think it's significant. So I believe, and I am different from other hypnotists, that I believe that hypnosis is the common inheritance, like laughter. It's the common inheritance of all humanity. And this is important because right now,
May I interrupt you? And second, what does it mean?
Yeah.
What does it mean, a common inheritance in this respect?
That it belongs to all of us. It's not right now, hypnotists are sort of like the high priests. We're like the priests of hypnosis because we're the only ones that can do it. It's like only the priests can do the liturgy in the Catholic Church. Only the hypnotist can do hypnosis. But the truth is that everyone can do hypnosis. Everyone experiences hypnosis. It's a universal phenomenon. And so this is controversial because, many countries have laws around this. For example, Israel for many years had a law saying only doctors and, officially accepted hypnotists are allowed to perform hypnosis, which is absurd because hypnosis is being performed all the time. It happens everywhere. One of the compelling theories of hypnosis is that we are all in trances all the time. They're just different kinds of trances. So I might be in a talking trance. Somebody might be in a listening trance. They exhibit trance behavior. When somebody's listening, they're not moving very much. It's like a trance. People are in, there are light trances, there are heavy trances. So this theory suggests that hypnosis is happening everywhere and that we shouldn't relegate or we shouldn't allow it to be the private domain of doctors and hypnotists. It's too important. So in my TEDx, I'm not going to explain the whole theory of how hypnosis works because it takes a while, but I'll give you the kind of compelling key part. So there's one thing, so let me start here. When you hypnotize people, and this is when you know they've gone into deep trance, you can often know because their limbs become limp. If you hold their limbs, there's a liquid quality to their wrists and this is a way you may see a hypnotist test if somebody's in deep trance, to take their wrist and shake their wrist. Now, when you know that somebody's in deep trance and you look at their eyes, there's a specific behavior. So you often see their eyelids flickering. If I could act it, I would, but it's a hard performance. It's a hard behavior to act. So many people have observed this, even right back 100 years ago. I think Anton Mesmer observed that this flickering eyelid effect. But it started to become relevant when studies appeared on REM sleep. Because what happens to us when we're in REM sleep? Our eyelids flicker. So I might be stating the obvious here, but there's probably an obvious connection between REM sleep and deep trance hypnosis, because in both cases, people's eyes are rolled up and their eyelids are flickering. So that's basically one of the themes of my TEDx, and when you understand that, you understand huge implications. Why? If hypnosis is a way to engineer a kind of waking REM state, then what does that mean? Well, now this is conjecture, but I think it is true. Famously, people describe healing experiences when they're hypnotized. right? They describe sometimes dramatic healing. You can stop wounds from bleeding. You can bring down inflammation simply through hypnosis. And one possible explanation is that studies on sleep show that there are only two healing states in sleep. So the only time that a wound will heal or an injury will heal is when a person is either in deep sleep or they're in REM sleep. REM sleep is profoundly healing. So it stands to reason that if we can recreate REM sleep in people, like without them having to go to sleep, at the snap of our fingers, in a sense, that we can recreate a powerful healing state. And so that's the first assumption that's kind of intriguing. The second assumption, and what I've suggested too, is that I believe, and I usually use Star Trek to explain this, that deep trance hypnosis is a bit like the holodeck in Star Trek. Now, you kind of have to be a Star Trek fan, but do you remember the second Star Trek series?
Next Generation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they had remember they had the holodeck?
Yeah.
Okay. So the holodeck is a place where you can recreate any reality and you can live out any kind of experience that without, in a sense, consequences. And part of the twist is sometimes the consequences are real. Like if you died in the holodeck, you might die for real. Well, hypnosis is very much like the holodeck, because when somebody goes to deep trance, so let's say the classic example of why somebody is a chicken. So what this points to is the reason why people become chickens under hypnosis, and not just chickens. You can turn somebody into a cat, or you can turn somebody into a rap singer or a ballet dancer. I've demonstrated. I was working once with a group of motorcycle bikers, and they were in deep trance, and I asked, what would you like to see these guys do? And somebody said, dance in the Bolshoi ballet. So I took a bunch of bikers and had them dance as if they were ballet dancers. And they were very serious. People fell off their chairs laughing because those bikers became the most serious ballet dancers you've ever seen. So how could this be possible? How could I convince, I'm 5'7", I'm not particularly imposing. How could I convince a bunch of bikers to become very effeminate ballet dancers in a matter of minutes? And convincingly, they danced very seriously. And here's the explanation, which points to another paradigm within hypnosis and the holodeck. So one of the theories of dreaming is that dreaming is an educational process. Like everything that humans do, things have multiple processes. So it's not just educational, it's also depotentiation. But we learn things when we dream. And they know this because they've actually caused some mammals not to dream, particularly in the womb. And those mammals end up to be retarded, fundamentally retarded. So that's a sort of interesting thing. Now, if you had dreams, for example, that you were being chased by wolves, it may then occur to you that you should climb a tree. What dreams suggest is they are a way to play out things that are probably too dangerous in real life. Like to sort of like do a test of whether or not you could escape from wolves is probably not a good idea. It's better that you have a dream about it where you remember the quality of wolves and you remember that wolves can't climb trees and you can climb a tree. Once you have that dream, and then you're walking in the forest and you're, a simian version of a human and you are chased by wolves, you then remember to climb the tree and you save your life and you pass along your DNA. So this educational aspect of dreaming is very, very powerful and not researched. There's a very interesting and obscure term that explains it. And the term that is used is called dream neutrality. And one theory is that right now, the only creatures that have a high level of dream neutrality actually may be humans. I'm not sure about this, but I think it may be true. So let me explain it because it does require explanation. So dream neutrality is for you to learn from your dreams, you need to believe they are true. You need to be in the dream believing that the wolves can hurt you so that you can figure out to climb the tree and escape. If you don't think the wolves can hurt you, you won't get the answer. And this is the holodeck. If you don't believe on some level that it's real, then you won't learn from, and you don't get the enjoyment also of the holodeck experience. So what hypnosis offers is this ability to create a kind of easy holodeck. Like I've often done this with groups of people. I take a group of people and they're hypnotized together, and I'll have them visit other planets. Now, usually they're just sitting in chairs. I don't want them running around. It's potentially dangerous, but they're just sitting in chairs, and you can describe them going to other planets where it's hot, where it's cold. If it's hot, they will sweat. If it's cold, they might shiver. And they have a kind of holodeck experience. Now, if you do it for a show, it all appears to be comedy. But again, it points to this, what I'm interested in is the dream neutrality part. That part, to me, is intriguing. That it's a much more profound experience. So what's interesting to me, and I'll just finish here, is that you might say, oh, that's an interesting theory that hypnosis is REM sleep, or there's such thing as dream neutrality. But I can tell you that, and it sounds like a conspiracy theory, but it's not. The scientific establishment, the psychological establishment, psychiatric establishment does not agree. I had a group of psychologists contact me and tell me hypnosis is not REM state, it's not a waking dream state. It's not true. They were like adamant that I had to stop saying this. But I was like, no, I'm not going to stop saying it. I see it every day. Every day I see people who go into REM state hypnosis. So there's a bit of a culture war around this. And the moral of the story is the reason why that TEDx is so interesting is that a lot of people are along the way, already have figured this out or have some understanding of it. And that TEDx was the one place where it sort of, I think, comes together.